Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalzar with Hive Mind Gaming, coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video for the beginner and free-to-play guide. Today we're going to take a side step. We're going to do a quick peek over here into the Ice Golem Peak. Yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. Alright, anyway, when you're going through the Ice Golem, these boxes here will tell you what level of gear you will be getting. So if you're gonna enter stage 9, you're looking at anywhere from 3-star to 5-star gear. And the gear that will drop is random based on one of these gear sets. Let's take a look at these sets real quick. Alright, so the life gear you should know a little bit about. It's a 2-piece gear set that gives you 15% HP. The offense is a 2-piece gear set that gives you 15% attack. Defense is a 2-piece gear set for 15% defense. Crit rate is 12%, so it's slightly different. It's only 12% crit rate, and it's a 2-piece set. Now, resistance is a 2-piece set, and it's plus 40 to your resistance stat. Retaliation is a 4-piece set. It's 25% chance to counterattack when hit. Alright, so where this is going to be good is if there's a situation where you have a champion that has abilities, passives, etc. that force the opponent to attack them. An ability that provokes, or some kind of passive or anything like that that throws out provokes, that may, or another one is that have AoE A1s. So someone who can, if you hit them, they have a chance to retaliate, so therefore they're going to hit all your opponents. There's a 25% chance to counterattack. So what makes this set not so great is that it's a 4-piece set. If they could somehow redo their sets and maybe make this a 3-piece set, I don't know if it's powerful, too powerful. It would be too powerful if you made it a 2-piece set, but I think it's too cumbersome by making it a 4-piece set. You're taking up 4 armor pieces. So I don't know if I like that or not. And then this next set is the Reflex set. It's a 4-piece set with a 30% chance to reduce random skill cooldown. Again, this needs to be probably a 2-piece set because it's kind of useless. Taking up 4 slots or gear slots, I don't see where it could possibly be better than doing 2 pieces of any of these, to be perfectly honest. That ability, that 30% chance to reduce one random skill cooldown is cool, but not cool enough to take away, 30% to your defense, because that would be 2-piece sets of defense. So anyway, pretty much something that needs to go in the trash. Cursed, same thing, 4-piece set with a 50% chance to place 50% heal reduction debuff. Now, if there's a situation where you don't have a champion that is able to place a 50% or even 100% heal reduction debuff, you might need it for higher levels in Fire Knight or even higher levels in the Spirit Keep. My suggestion is to try to find champions with those abilities. Don't waste your time on this 4-piece set. Because it's 4 pieces. If it was only 2 pieces, then I think it would be fantastic. It would be a set that you could throw on your champions. And I think that's a big issue with this game, actually, to be perfectly honest, is a lot of their 4-piece sets are just they're either niche sets, so you're only gonna use them every now and then, um, for specific reasons, or you're just not gonna use them at all because I mean, you're using up 4 armor slots. This next set is just like the retaliation, as in it's 4 pieces. It's a 30% chance to place a provoke debuff. And the reason why I say it's just like retaliation is because you may actually use this set. And this set would be used on champions that have abilities that affect your opponent when they are attacked. For instance, there's some champions that when they're attacked, they have a chance to freeze your opponent. So that would be a taunting set would be a good set to put on them because that makes them hit that person or target that person. Other reasons would be if you have a situation where you're trying to lock out the opponent and it's an AoE type character, but you only want to do this on someone who has a really good defense or really good, really big amount of hit points, because let's face it, they're going to be attacking you. But taunting is a really good way to CC or crowd control your opponent, because when they attack you, they can only attack with their A1, which is typically their least powerful ability. So taunting is really good. I just don't know if this set is the best set, is better than a two-piece sets of these guys. So I mean that's going to be keep in mind these are all just my opinions, by the way, guys. So whatever you guys want to put on your guys' champions, by all means, that's completely up to you. This is just my opinion and my idea of how you should do it. You're the only one that can make the decision on whether or not you use those pieces. Now, here's the other side of that. If you get a piece of reflex and you hate reflex and you don't want to ever use reflex, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't look at the piece, because it's okay to use broken pieces. And what that means is, like a two-piece defense, you need 2 pieces of defense to get the 15%. Let's say you have one really good piece of defense and one really good piece of crit rate. You want to use both of them, but you don't have a secondary piece on each of these. It's okay to just run one of each. It really is okay. You are going to be losing the 15% and the 12%, but if the piece is good enough, then it shouldn't matter. So keep that in mind when you're trashing these other sets and when you're selling them, because if you find a good pair of speed boots or a good pair of crit rate gauntlets or something along those lines, you might want to think about keeping those just for the just in case. If you've got a speed boot that has crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy all on the speed boots, then you may want to keep those. So just a suggestion, something to think about while you're going through this. Now, as you're going through the dungeon, if you get a rare proc, you could get mystery shards, ancient shards, brews, which are random what color you get, and silver. So, all right, let's get into this. So currently I'm running this setup. It may not be the best setup. We've got Arbinger. The reason we have Arbinger in here is because he has the ability to... We're just going to go ahead and blow through the trash mobs. I don't think I would necessarily call them trash mobs once you get into level 20. They're not going to be people that I would want to tick off and meet in a dark alley, because they hit pretty hard when they're level 20. Alright, so let's look at the abilities of the boss. Let's see, you've got the immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, block, cooldown skills, fear, and true fear debuffs. Also immune to HP exchange effects, HP balancing effects, and cooldown increasing effects. So, standard across the board, that's what all bosses have. Alright, then he has this passive. It's called Frigid Vengeance. Attacks all enemies one time whenever Clysus's HP. Wait. Did we know that his name was Clysus? Am I saying that right? Clysus? Yeah. Who knew that? Raise your hand. Tell me in the comments if you knew that. If better yet, tell me in the comments if you raised your hand, because I had no clue this guy's name was Clysus. All right. When his HP drops below 80, 60, 45, 30, and 15%, he's going to do an attack. This attack will revive any dead allies. That's these two goons here. And then he'll revive them with 100% HP. And then this attack ignores 50% of each enemy's defense for each ally alive. This attack also has a 20% chance of placing a freeze debuff for one turn. The chance of placing a freeze debuff increases by 40% for each alive ally. All right, so what that means is, if you start beating him down without killing these guys first, what will happen is he will do a huge slam, and for each one of these knuckle chucks that are still alive, he's going to ignore 50% of your armor. So the first guy, he's going to ignore the first 50%. If the second guy's alive, he's going to ignore the other 50%. So he's going to ignore 100% of your armor. And on top of that, there's a 20% chance to freeze your guys. Now, if this guy's alive, then that's going to be another 40%, so that's a total of 60%. And then if this guy's alive, that's a 100% chance to freeze your guys. All right, so then he's got his A1, which is just a basic attacks all enemies, where he he does an arc with his sword and throws icicles at you. I mean, I don't know, pretty lame. When you got that big giant maul on your shoulder. Attacks all enemies, places a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. That's going to be the red square with the target retinal in it. So that's his second attack, and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. That's usually the first thing he does, and then while it's on cooldown, he does his basic stuff. All right, so let's get into it. Now the 2 chuckleheads, one of them, what does he do? He puts a decreased defense on you, and I forget what the other one does. Yeah, there's the decreased defense, so which is going to make the boss hit harder. And there's the big slam, and he reses them back up. So he's got the retaliate on, so that's why he keeps attacking. Now, the reason we have Arbiter in here, well, never mind. Arbiter's dead. So Arbiter has the ability, oh, that's right, he puts that on there, I forgot. So he puts a, what is that called? That is called a, well, let's look. It's called, too fast. All right, let's go back in it. It's basically a heal reduction. That's the word I was looking for. That's 100% heal reduction, which really sucks for when he puts it on Kale, because Kale has lifesteal gear on. So every time Kale hits with his lifesteal gear on, he heals himself. Well, when that guy puts on his debuff, then that means he doesn't heal, which makes it really hard for Kale to stay alive, as we've seen. So we may have to drop down a level to actually complete this fight. And the reason why we had Arbiter in here, because one of his abilities is that when he kills something with his ability, it blocks revive on it. So that means on these on the goons that are standing here, if he's the one that kills them with that ability, then they can't be revived by the boss. And so when he does that big slam and one of them's dead, then that means that he won't revive them, and he'll only revive one or zero depending on how many he's got. Come on, Kale. There you go. Oh, so close yet so far away. All right. So we're going to drop down one. We're going to let it roll while we're talking or while we're finishing up. So, what do we look for? Now, keep in mind, guys, this is my free to play account, my beginners and free to play account that I'm doing this on. So I don't have a lot of character or champions to draw from to make a team. So that we have to keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out how far you can go to farm this dungeon. So when you're farming for gear, the only way to progress in this game, there's several ways to progress in this game. One of them is to farm for gear. So to farm for gear, you have to run these dungeons because it's the best place to find gear. And so once you do that, you're gonna want to build a team that can farm because you're farming gear. So you wanna have a team that can run through here and actually beat the boss. And the quicker you can do it, the better, because then you don't have to sit here and watch this. You can see the timer off to the side. It's a little more than a minute, which is not bad. And we got a 5-piece drop. Unfortunately, it's with the curse set, so we don't care. So what characters do we want to look for as we're adding to our roster? Who do we want to eventually put in this dungeon to beat the boss? Well, first off, anyone that can soak freeze. So any character or champion that has the ability to ignore the freeze effect, or someone who has the ability to put on block debuffs buff. Something else you can do. I haven't got her yet. I've been trying to farm her on campaign, but Spirit Host is really good for this too because Spirit Host can actually remove all those debuffs. So someone that you would probably want to take a look at and run with is someone who can buff your team, whether it be for speed, whether it be for armor or shield, whether it be for retaliate is a good one. I would suggest being careful with that one because he's got retaliate, and that's why I put him in here so you can see how it would work. The problem with retaliate is if he's right at the cusp of one of his numbers that he does his big slam to revive his guys, like right there, and now he's got retaliate. If he does enough damage to get him to the next location, he will do the retaliate. Or if he retaliates and does enough damage, and he does his big slam. See right there, both of these guys were alive when he did his big slam, so it tore them up. So you got to be careful with the retaliate because if you do that, if you do enough damage to get him over another hump while the two minions are still up there, then he's going to do that big slam, and he's going to do ignore 100% of your armor and freeze you, 100% chance of freezing you. So keep that in mind when you're using retaliate. That's also a thing when you get into in game and you're hitting him with guys that do damage based on the bad guy's HP, the enemy's HP. So those hits hit really hard, but also allows the boss to come and wreck your world. So a couple of times. So just keep that in mind. So you want a DPSer, obviously. You want a tank, someone who can help absorb damage. So it could be anyone with, for instance, Ally Protect. Wow, we got beat down there. Someone with ally protect that can help take damage from your damage dealers. Someone who can throw up shields, things like that. Anyone that can heal. Again, the healing on the final fight is a little low because the one minion throws up the heal reductions. So you got to keep that in mind when you're doing stuff like healers and rezzers. Rezzers are good, but as you can tell, Shaman's constantly getting her butt whooped. It's no different than any other dungeon on this guy. This guy's not anything. His strategy is nothing different than anyone else. The thing that makes him I kind of like, actually, the thing that makes me like him is that he has these two minions that you have to deal with. So I mean, I kind of dig that. I like that mechanic of this fight. So you've got to figure out a way to deal with that, and it's the same composition that you have with any other uh, dungeon, which is you have a DPSer, you have a healer slash reser slash someone who buffs your team. She's in that slot. She doesn't do a very good job of it. That's why she's free, and that's why she won't go any further than what she is right now. And then you need someone that can throw out decreased defense. That's what she's there for. And then you want someone that can take damage. He's not really that character. He's more of a DPS. But you want someone that can absorb damage either through a shield or through a ally protect, something like that. You want to be able to uh, let your damage dealer be able to stay alive long enough to do the damage, and that's pretty much what that job's supposed to be. And then the fifth guy can be pretty much anything at that point, as long as you've got the buffer, the healer slash reser, or more buffs, which could also be increase attack, increase defense, things like that. A cleanser, that kind of thing, and then the tank, he can be another DPS to help you with waves, things like that, like AOE attacks to help you with waves, or Arbinger. Arbinger can be the fifth guy because he's got the ability to block revive on the ads. So, but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for the ice golem. Other than that, you guys are awesome, and I appreciate every one of you. I'll see you next time. Bye.